Thank you very much. Mr. Ramirez.
Thank you, Chairman Sensenbrenner, Ranking Member Jackson Lee, and members of the committee for inviting me to testify. Should Mexico hold veto power over U.S. border security decisions? That is one of the issues that I am prepared to discuss today. Other issues that I am prepared to discuss include civilian border observation projects, the virtual wall including misinformation about boots on the ground, remote video surveillance cameras, ground sensors, tunnel detection, and other technologies that can be used to secure our borders. Two, the ways in which the trade corridors for NAFTA and CAFTA have undermined border security, expanding the flow of illegal narcotics and illegal aliens into the United States while creating areas of lawlessness on our southern border that provides easy access for criminal gangs and worse for terrorist organizations. In an email to my Vice Chairman dated August 15, 2006, Fredo Arias King, former advisor to Mexican President Vicente Fox, wrote, "One thing that is readily noticeable is that the loudest pro-immigration advocates in Mexico were and are the loudest anti-American voices. Figures in the Fox government, such as Jorge Castañeda and Adolfo Aguilar Zinser, are seen as geopolitical geniuses by the, and I quote him, helpless PAN party officials who suffer from some kind of learned helplessness. Castañeda and Zinser, says Arias King, long advocated using the immigrants as objects, not subjects, to press Washington and cajole it to do certain things or simply for revenge. Castañeda even wrote at one point that the Mexican government should repress the U.S. citizens living in Mexico legally." I would also like to talk about an incident that occurred right here in El Paso. It involves the greatest miscarriage of justice that I have ever witnessed and threatens the ability of the Border Patrol to do its job and protect our country. The two U.S. Border Patrol agents, Ignacio Ramos and Jose Compean, were to be here today, but due to the terms of their bond agreement, are prevented from coming onto federal land. However, their wives, Monica and Claudia, as well as their families, are with us today. And these agents stopped a drug smuggler from bringing 743 pounds of marijuana into this country. Administrative errors made during the course of that stop should have been handled under standard disciplinary procedures, but, to quote Judge Ted Poe and other members of Congress, an overzealous prosecutor hijacked those procedures. In a case that is covered with the fingerprints of misconduct, as stated by members of Congress and many people throughout America, Agents Ramos and Compean were abandoned by the Border Patrol's own management. The result has been devastating to the morale of rank-and-file agents, as it has raised questions from local law enforcement officials about whether the administration really wants to secure our borders or not. They are reiterating what Agent Ramos himself said. Do they want us to catch them or not? Should I? Okay, continue. That same question is foremost in the minds of 11,000 agents of the Border Patrol, men and women who put their lives on the line for us every day. They all remember Theodore Newton and George Azraq, agents who were murdered by drug smugglers and are now memorialized in the highest decoration that an agent can receive, the Newton-Azraq Medal. In a similar way, those in the Border Patrol who believe in the highest ideals of public service will never forget the names of Ramos and Compean, the first agents in the history of the Border Patrol to go to prison for simply doing their jobs. In fact, during the trial, the smuggler violated the terms of his immunity agreement when he should have been arrested at the point for not telling all information as he was directed within the agreement to do. He didn't and was spirited back to Mexico at the conclusion of the hearing that day. And Mr. Chairman, I do have that agreement if that could be introduced as well.
Without objection.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to take this opportunity to request a formal investigation into the Ramos-Compean case by the committee and a public hearing to determine the facts. Questions about the rulings of the judge, the conduct of the prosecutor and the jury, and even the Border Patrol itself need to be answered. Thousands of Border Patrol are waiting for answers not only about this case, but also about the greater issues behind it. Until these issues are clarified, all of them risk going to prison. By making an example of Ramos and Compean, a clear message has been sent to the rest of the Border Patrol. It doesn't matter what the law says, if you violate such policies as non-pursuit, you will go to prison. Intimidation of the Border Patrol, as signaled by the prosecution of Ramos and Compean, coerces others into law enforcement to look the other way, and eventually the American people will be forced to accept the reality of a new transnational sovereignty of the North American communities. Indeed, Mexico has lost effective control of its northern territories. Mexican police have been compromised by bribery, neutralized by intimidation, or eliminated by assassination. Others have joined with criminal elements of drug smuggling and human trafficking. The Mexican military has suffered the same effect with active duty units, including generals operating in the service of the drug cartels, and some here on American soil. The Department of Homeland Security has documented at least 235 incursions into the U.S., less known as the military incursion card, which has been given to Border Patrol agents in the Tucson Border Patrol sector as early as 1997 and instructing them in how to react to incursions by military units, which I'd also like to submit for the record as well.
Without objection.
A key problem is revealed in the shifting of responsibility for covering key smuggling zones along the Mexican border, including one here in El Paso. Responsibility has shifted from stations that have hundreds of agents to stations with only a few. Why would the Border Patrol act so blatantly to, if you look at it from one perspective, help the cartels unless the corruption that has riddled Mexico for so many years is finally working its way north? Once again, our organization feels that the Chief of the Border Patrol needs to be questioned as to this redetailing and deployment of zones of responsibility. The answer to this problem goes back to the creation of the Department of Homeland Security and the reorganization from the Immigration and Naturalization Service, or Legacy INS as it is referred to in the agency, to the new Customs and Border Protection Agency at DHS. Too much power was given to the Chief of the Border Patrol with no checks and balances, with the sole exceptions of Congress and the American people. Lack of security on our border causes security problems throughout our country. Every city in America is now a border town because these drug smugglers, the human traffickers, and the violent gangs associated with them are not confined to the border regions. I'll just add this, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Thank you.
Your time has expired. The chair will recognize members alternatively from the
Prepared to discuss include civilian border